Hello there, good evening, welcome back to Celtic World Order. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you back to the podcast channel here on our YouTube. And you can see, strangely, at the other end of the screen today is my brother. He is the bearded brother, the OG, my partner in crime, whatever you want to call him. Big baldy fool. It's Paddy boy. How you doing, mate? A smiling face. I take you're happy with the 3-0, eh?
I'm happy to be home for the middle of an off-season, mate. That's kind of why the smile's here. But yeah, the 3 points today was pivotal. We spoke about it previously, and you had said, obviously, this was a game where you wanted to rest a few players and see a wee Rafa changes in there as well. Didn't think he would have dropped Carter Vickers, but do you know what? He did. And obviously, we'll get down to the performance of the other defenders. But do you know what? Today was all about the 3 points, and more than happy with the result. I said 4-0. 420 said 6. It was 3. I was closer. I win.
It's what the difference. I'll take it. Yep, it was all about getting the performance, the points first and foremost. The performance, aye, good, bad, wee bits indifferent. We'll talk through it. But I think it was very much an eye on, of course, bigger fish to fry. European game coming up midweek now, of course, a cup final round the corner. But as you say, it's about getting the job done, particularly when, once again, the bubble is well and truly burst. The title challenge that was Aberdeen, get that firmly in the bin. The status quo is due to remain and come back soon enough with the other team in Glasgow kidding on that they're going to do something. So we'll get around to that. But before we do, let's get a wee bit of housekeeping. As we always say here, welcome back to the channel. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. Make sure that you hit the notification, the bell, and you're keeping yourself in the loop at any time that we go live. You'll get notified anytime we do an upload, anytime we go live. You'll never miss anything. If you want to be a member, donate to the channel, you can. Completely optional, no additional content. Just helps me running this wee ship, and that can be like the Bold 420s are original. Willie Battles in there and all. Welcome, Willie. We have another membership as well. Says totally option. Various places you can get us. We're on the old TikTok. We're on Blue Sky. Of course, we're on X at CW Pod 1888. And if you want to catch up on the move, you can get us on Spotify as well. Plenty of places to connect with CW. So, Paddy, let's get down to business. Let's talk about the game, because we says Hibs rolling into town. 2 weeks ago, you would have said an absolute deed and buried garbage Hibs. Look, I know they're still bottom of the pile, but they had a wee purple patch of form. They looked like they were turning a corner now. I think for their season coming to Celtic Park, it was never going to be defining, was it? Whatever the result was there. But we spoke about it. It was an opportunity to look at getting a wee bit of rotation into the side. And, well, certainly we did do that, because, of course, there's a lineup for those who can't remember or whatever. It was a fair bit of changes there, as you can see. For me, a couple of interesting ones. I think that the question marks over the last performance of Alex Valle, bringing in Taylor, of course, he came in with that assist. Quite rare to see Carter Vickers drop him down there as well. Of course, McCowan kept his place. And between that Bernardo or Hatate, we go with Engels coming back in. And again, change up front as we rest Kyogo. Still a pretty strong team though, eh?
Oh, listen, going into the game against Hibs, like you'd said before, we did look to rest a few players. So I was quite happy with that going in there. Obviously, we said previous as well that I'd been looking for Ida to get a wee start in there, because I wanted to see what he could do. I wanted him to get a chance and prove us all that he was worth the big transfer fee. The same way Arnie Engels. Listen, it was good to see him in there. But most of all, I was happy to see Luke McCowan get in, because do you know what? I think he's deserved it. I think every time he's come in, he's shown that resilience, that what he needs. He's got the fire in him, and it was nice to see. Other than his wee back pass that we'll get on to at some point. I thought he was really decent. So yeah, listen, a few changes in there. There is always going to be a little purple patch in the game and stuff, and you're never going to demolish every single team. But I was quite happy with the 3-0.
I mean, just to broadly speak on it, rather than get through all the bite-sized bits of the action there, for me, I felt it was a wee bit of a bitty performance. There was some good stuff going forward. I thought that, at periods we had some nice creative moves moving forward. Some of them maybe not coming off. But then I saw some of the stuff that we'd previously had a wee moan about, shall we say, old defensive frailties. Now I know that we were doing a wee bit of rotation. We made advantage of the squad that we've got. But we made that game for me a wee bit more difficult than it had to be. I mean, you love to look at Kasper Schmeichel. Now, I know stats forget them, they can paint a picture, but man of the match, 9 saves for Kasper Schmeichel. Their keeper, fair play, he goes busy with about 7, but we kept getting caught out with quite simple, rudimentary football. Quick balls over the top, taking advantage of high line, and it was just a wee bit frustrating for me.
Aye, going into these games, I mean, you know what teams like this are going to do. They're going to sit back and they're going to rely on the kind of lump ball, kind of what the team across the city do, the chaos ball, as we call it, Steve-O. You know it's going to come, and we've been caught out previously. We used to slate Taylor and Scales for it last year. Every single time they were caught napping at the back and the ball was over the top, and we've seen parts of that today. I think even Trusty got caught out with it a few times. There was one of them as well, and Alistair Johnson was bombing back and he managed to get in and intercept it. But yeah, getting caught out with things like that because you're playing a high line, that frustrates me. But yeah, we've done enough.
Yeah,
that for me was Kasper Schmeichel's made his saves and he was outstanding. And you can only play with what's in front of you. But if you've got Carter Vickers in there, I think he holds them back a bit.
No, there we go. I'm okay with Kai and Tom Boyd, but I mean, here we go. A mixed bag to say the least there. And I thank you, of course, to 420 for a gift and a membership to one of the lucky persons there in the comments. No, like Paddy as he says, there is some good stuff. It is what it is. It's a means to an end. We get the result, we get the points, we further extend our lead at the top, and dominance, and it's becoming a cakewalk. Let's be honest, it looks as if by the turn of January the league's going to be all but wrapped up at this rate. But no, I think when we look at the performance, yeah, there was a couple of negatives, maybe not so glaring negatives, but for me it was just things that I want to see an improvement on. You touched on the defensive sort of side of things, and for me, over the past 2 games, I'm kind of coming a wee bit full circle. Well, where are we in terms of the left back situation? I think that, as I say, the performance was bitty all over the park. Now, I've come on here when we were looking at Alex Bay. I've sang his praises. I've constantly says that I think I can really see something in there, and I'd be keen to keep him on. But again, as he's been brought back into the team, there's been issues. I think during the week, it was a wee bit of liberty. He probably should have been booked earlier. The one that he got booked for was nonsense. He obviously get removed through the pitch for his own good.
Yeah.
Taylor pops up with the assist. That maybe gets him safe passage into the game today. Bay doesn't come on. But then again, as you say, you see the same things happening, the same recurring themes with certain players. And for me, just looking at that position at left back, I think there's enough pros and cons of both. I don't think one's better than the other. I think they've got their own issues, and for me, looking at January, I'm really still looking to fix that, mate.
Yeah, it's something that we need to strengthen. It's always been one of the positions. It's just we've been crying out for a good left back since Kieran Tierney. We might even see him back. You never know. It might be one of those resurgences. We'll get Kieran back in there. And do you know what? I'd take him. Of course you would. He's got a lot to give still, but going into the January window and going forward, I think Vi was dropped today because he's more suited to the European style, and I think he'll start on Tuesday against Zagreb. So I think that was the thought process around Greg Taylor. Scalesy, I think he earned it obviously by getting his wee goal in there. I thought he played well the other night. Today, yeah, he was okay in patches, but you still seen the frailties in there as well. But I've got no doubt that when Carter Vickers comes back in beside Trusty, it'll be back to normal. It'll be back to what we expect for our centre backs.
I think it was very much an eye on, as we say, midweek there. A lot of changes. It was quite surprising, and I actually like to see it. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't recall us having that combination in the centre where it was McCown, Engels and McGregor from the off. I thought that was a pretty well, on paper, a well-balanced midfield three. McGregor doing his things. Engels, we've seen the quality and we know that he needs to get a wee sort of lift in his form. Obviously, a goal today won't harm his confidence. Of course, there's another incident I want to get your opinion on as well. But I think that for me, when I look at it now, we've been singing McCown's praises. I think he's a nice mid-balance between what you would get from Bernardo in terms of that ball retention, but also he offers the cutting edge and the smart passing that you'll get out of Hatate. Maybe with a wee bit less risk, dare I say?
Yeah, he seems to be. He just gets it. And listen, he's been in the Premier League for a while now as well, and he understands it and he knows what it takes to play against these teams. And he's a Celtic fan. He gets what it takes to wear that jersey. It's not going to be too heavy on him, is it? So, yeah, he's a cracking player to be in there. And you see it as well. We spoke about the captains all over the pitch. And he's a captain. He's one of these guys. He is a leader on the park. And you see that everywhere. He's telling Engels where to be and things like that. And Engels is the £12 million man. He's the man that, for me, should be doing that. He's not got the experience in McCown. He's not got that. So that's obviously why McCown's taken that mantle in. But listen, it's brilliant to see. And for me, going forward, yeah, he is a person in that middle of the park that he's going to have to be removed by one of the players. They're going to have to up their game to get him out.
Paddy, looking at the performance of him during the week, and obviously we'll look at what he done today as well. As I say, one sort of bad pass aside, of course, right? I thought it was very, very rounded. Now, that, as we said, was a formation. That was a squad picked with an eye on a game, resting these guys, and these guys come back out. Has, over the past 2 games, McCowan maybe shoehorned himself into plans for a European start? Or do you think an away day against Zagreb, where, let's face it, it's a lot more maybe pressing and important than it could have been had the Bruges result went our way with the 3 points? Do you think that's fair to say?
I think he's secured his spot, mate. You look at him and what he gives you. The pass in towards Alistair Johnson kind of late on in the game was absolute filth. This pass was just unbelievable. Alistair Johnson, all he has to do is square it across, or he could have cracked it a wee bit earlier, and that's a goal. It's a defence cutting pass, and it's one of the ones that you would have expected for Tam Rogic. It was phenomenal. And he's got that in the locker, as has Hatate. So going into the European game, I would have Callum, McCowan and Hatate in there. That would be my 3.
That's quite a bold 3, but I'd like that. No, as I say, just to touch back on the general performances in the first half. Also, there's a couple of sort of highlights in there, but as you rightly says, it was actually Hibs that started off quite fast. 2 chances quite early on by their own design, but the keeper called into action, says man of the match, and as folk are saying there in the comments, fantastic saves throughout the course of the game, and more notably those ones very, very early on. I think in terms of that is vital, and it just shows you the quality we've got in Kasper Schmeichel, because if these things don't go your way and you get one fired into you on early doors of the match starting off, we've seen it before where sometimes we're a wee bit slow in finding our feet into games. That could have really done us early on. So, I mean, how relieved were you when you saw the keeper step up with 2? I mean, I was certainly getting off my nut, to be honest. It shouldn't have happened, but I'll take it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm with you. I expect perfection every week, but you're never ever going to get it. There's always going to be these wee balls in the pockets and over the top that's going to catch you out. And it did. The defence get caught out, and Big Kasper was there to nullify their strikers. And do you know what? It's what we've got him in for. We've said it on here before. We love Big Joe Hart, but Kasper for me is an upgrade on that. When he's coming out and he spreads himself, he's just like his dad. He's massive. He's a unit, and he's still got it for me. He's proven that. You just need to look at where we are in the league and the amount of clean sheets that this lad's kept. He's an absolute outstanding talent.
We're right the early storm on, thanks to, of course, the Great Dane. But as I say, we take the lead quite early on as well, and it is Arne Engels, right place, right time. You take it, as I say, for me, good to see him getting a goal.
Yes.
And it can only help his wee confidence a wee bit there. Did you feel that maybe just sort of helped settle the nerves for him moving forward after getting the ball in the back of the net?
Yeah, listen, it's got to. You say that before. We spoke about the price tag on him and it might be weighing on his shoulders and things like that. Obviously, he's got something to prove in there. The fans have been getting on his back a little bit as well. And fair play to Brendan for showing support to the young lad. Obviously, he's got to. But yeah, putting him in there, and he always gets into these positions as well. And it was nice to see him get on the end there. He did his side in to try and get it. But the part of that goal for me was the link-up play again by Nicholas Kuhn and Alistair Johnson. and we've seen it throughout the game. Phenomenal. And we spoke about it on here before. They're brilliant when they start doing that.
How did you think? Obviously, as we saw, Nicholas Kuhn gets taken off at half time. Obviously, I'm looking a wee bit further ahead.
Yeah.
For me, I just felt that his game in particular, it was a wee bit disjointed. It is good at the early stages, but for me, it was a game that he faded out of, and quite quickly, unfortunately. There seems to be a wee sort of bit of a creative lag coming out of him and Maeda recently. They're not hitting the same levels. Like, no, it's not a criticism here, just an observation. I think we'll just became that accustomed to every single game where he was going through that phase. He getting the ball, terrorising, constantly going forward, getting an assist and goal. That when you have something a wee bit of a subdued performance, that it maybe just slightly worries you. Not so much for a game like that when you know you've got the squad to put on, but looking to say for the game, particularly during the week, I think we really need these guys to quickly find their feet, because again, even against Bruges, these things that I'm talking about here, I thought were still present in that game as well.
Yeah. What's happening though is every time they're getting the ball, they're getting doubled up on. There's two guys on them straight away, and they're not really getting the chance to show that creative edge. We know Dysen's got the pace, and listen, so's Kuhn to knock the ball away and absolutely just destroy people for pace. So we're still getting the chances in there. And for me, the overlap, like I say, this Alistair Johnson and Kuhn overlap thing's absolutely brilliant. And that for me, every time I see it, I'm just like, yes, here we go. And you expect a goal. It's one of the ones that kind of gets you off your seat every time you see it happening. But we don't have that on the other side, because Greg Taylor's always in the middle of the park helping out the midfielders or kind of dropping back. And on that side, we've just got Dyson to try and think with. So when he's got two defenders on him, he's been singled out, and he's not got that overlapping presence in order to create something. So maybe that's something we need to look at.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that when we got the goal, as I say, it's quite early on. Obviously, we ride the storm a wee bit early on. We get the goal, and I think to myself, that's really going to settle us in and get it. As I say, there was some good chances. We were still creating things and still making things happen. However, it just felt that we slipped into a malaise, a wee bit sort of lazy, and I particularly I thought that we were controlled and relatively composed from the middle to front. It was that advanced line that was causing us the issues, because they were still managing to get in behind us, which I was continually finding frustrating. But I just felt they were a wee bit sort of wasteful. We know we're a heavy-based, possession team. I think in the game was our usual, hitting about our usual target, about the sort of 750 plus passes. But again, I felt there was a slight return to possession for possession's sake, and I'm particularly levying that at the three midfielders, who at times I just felt were playing amongst themselves. It was wee triangles, have it here, you take it back, one back, and then we'll try and look for Greg Taylor, we'll try and get something moving forward. The creative edge from them wasn't there. It picked up for me with McCowan a wee bit, but by the whole, I was a bit frustrated at the way we were just sort of shepherding it around the midfield.
Yeah, and do you know what? A lot of that does obviously come down to your strikers and your forward players. And obviously, we spoke about there, Kuhn and Dyson being kind of marked out of the game. The other one you've got in there is Adamida. Now, he's not known for playing on the shoulder like Kyogo does and making these starting runs every single time the ball goes to a player like McGregor or McCowan or Bernardo and or Engels. Whoever it goes to, he's always on the shoulder and he's watching for that pass. He doesn't really do that. He waits for the ball to come to him. He's one of the kind of players given the ball and he'll do something with it. He's not one to kind of go really looking for it. So I think that kind of helped nullify the midfield a little bit, and obviously the Hibs defence and the Hibs midfield were playing just in front of them. And then every time our midfield pressed to get the ball, that's when they were doing the lump ball over the top as well. So that for me was the kind of the part of it. And then obviously Callum and that are aware of that, so then they're trying to just keep ball and play it about and try and stop them from doing that. Try to stop the attack for them. So I think that was kind of how it came about.
I thought that, I agree with that. And this is, I think that where we're normally getting our sort of purchase down the wings through Maeda and through Kuhn, it just wasn't quite happening. It was quite an interesting battle for me, Maeda against the boy Miller. It's the first time that I've thought I've actually seen Maeda struggle with somebody where even his pace wasn't getting him out of jail. It was a constant back and forward, that one. And I thought that boy had a good performance, to be honest. I thought he held himself well, albeit there was a couple of sort of snapping tackles between the two of them. I thought it was going to boil over at one point, but very, very frustrating. But is this guys going through a stage where, look, I know I'm saying we've won 3-0, we're cruising this league, but and it comes back to the cliche, these ones where you're not at your best, but you still get a clean sheet and you get a few goals in the net, they're the ones that prove your overall quality. But do you think there's still room for us or for Brendan to pull out another, ace? We saw the conversion to where we were for last season through January on, and it was almost as if we'd reinvented the wheel. We'd come up with this new purposeful version of Celtic. And as you say, double marking our guys, getting up our faces. I'm not saying teams have sussed us out, because clearly they haven't if they're conceding 3 goals. But do you feel that when we get out of this December period, that will kick on, that the manager will come up with something fresh to keep things fresh again with the way we approach games? Because we are more often than not finding the things that we're talking about here happening. We're going through a wee stage.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like 420 says in there, you can't win them all pretty, and winning is winning. See, when you can win and you don't perform your best, that by all accounts wasn't the best Celtic performance I've ever seen. The Aberdeen game wasn't the best Celtic performance I've ever seen. It was horrendous conditions and probably a quite horrendous game as well to watch. But we got the job done. We got it across there, and that's it. We've had 6 points out of these 2 games. We haven't won them pretty, but we've won them. And that's all that matters. We won 3-0 today, not playing our best football. If we turned up to that game, it would have been 6-0. It would have been 7-0 if Nicholas Kuhn and Daizen Maeda had their own way. But going forward, Brendan Rodgers knows what he has to do. He's an experienced manager, and coming into this period of time, we did say this was the hard part, because we've got all of these games in a short period of time. Obviously, Zagreb on Tuesday, and then the baddies as well at the weekend. So, listen, it's going forward, and we're going into it. And I don't fear any of these teams. I don't fear Zagreb. I don't fear the baddies. I'm not going into these going, oh my God, we only won 3-0 today. We didn't perform well today. I'm quite happy going against Zagreb with that exact same team, and I think we'll get something out of that with that team. Do you know what I mean? If we go up against them and we go for it, they're not going to sit in and mark Nicholas Kuhn and Daizen Maeda out of the game. That's not how they play. They're going to come at us. So then it's up to us to catch them, and we will catch them on the break. European football sort of suits that. You've seen it with the other side of the city previously in Europe. They were getting gubbed in the league every single week, and then they would get out and winning in Europe. Why? Because their football was more European suited, wasn't it?
It's actually quite interesting. That I find that really quite interesting, because usually we have, by and large, we've been having our way in the league. Let's not kid ourselves on. It's been absolute plain sailing. But as you're rightly saying, there's been a weird shift in the way things are working this season, because in previous seasons we'd be doing what we're doing in the league, and we'd go into the Champions League, Europa League, whatever it may well be. We'll try to impose our game on there, and we would struggle with it, and it wouldn't quite come off. Whereas we're actually seeing a blend of the two. In Europe, by and large, what we're doing is working to much more success. We're actually getting more the results of what we're wanting in Europe, but in the league, there's more of a variation. We're experiencing some troubles where we are struggling to impose it at points in the game. Yeah,
struggling to impose it, but still winning, still getting the results, and that's all it comes down to, is getting these results, winning ugly sometimes, and that's, listen, you'll take it. I don't care if we score a goal with coming off the arse of a defender. I'll take it. 100% I'll take it. So, going forward, listen, I'm confident. I'm pretty confident that Brendan knows exactly the positions that he needs strengthened, and he knows what he needs to do to get his flair players involved a little bit more in the game. Whether that's making Carter Vickers and Trusty move in a bit forward, pushing into the midfield so that your playmakers like Hatate and Engels and Bernardo and whatever else can move up to create a bit more space for your forward-thinking players. Whether something like that happens, I don't know. But listen, going forward, Brendan is an experienced manager, and he knows exactly what he's got to do, and we'll see it happen.
Yeah. In terms of the first half, as he says, we get the goal, and it just, there is chances in there, but we don't quite convert. One thing that really annoyed me was, and it's still all over our game, obviously we saw when we get a goal from a set piece, but when you look at the amount of corner opportunities that we get, I think for me that's really something that I want us to work on our game a lot more there. We have surprisingly had a better hit rate than we have in previous seasons, but that's not exactly saying something. When you look at the amount of 14 corners in a game like that, for example, over the whole piece of the game, and really we only truly make impact for one of them.
Yeah.
That's something I think as well, that moving forward that I would like to see improvements in. You know, we look at teams like Arsenal, like fuck all Arsenal, but they've got set piece coaches in.
Yeah.
And I think statistically, they are one of the most fruitful teams in that league, just simply through set pieces and working and drilling that. If we can tighten up that bit, because I think we've got good delivery into the box.
Mm.
We've got better delivery into the box than we have previously from the likes of McCown and Engels, but we're still doing the basic same routine where we're just punching a decent cross in and hoping somebody can get on the end of it. Is that a bone of contention for you at all?
Oh, listen, we've always had to do better for corners for me. Like you said, with 14 today, and 19 the other day and all against St Johnson. And listen, we're getting the corners, and like you say, the delivery's brilliant. Arm Engels has got an incredible delivery. So's like McCown. Even Taylor's got a decent delivery on him for a set piece. We've got the guys in there that can deliver it. We've got big units in the box as well. Carter Vickers, Trusty, Scales. I mean, these are all big lads. Adamida standing in that box. They're big guys to aim for, but we don't seem to have a lot of luck with them. A lot of thing. I mean, maybe it's something like you said to look forward to getting a coach in to teach us what we need to do with it. Remember with the boy for Scotland, what was his name that was practicing the corners, and we pulled one off against something that. Things the ball out to be a Ketchianya and he scored, remember? One of them,
Paddy,
coach.
You mentioned Ida there, and I know you're obviously one of his biggest advocates. What did you think of his general performance throughout the course of the first half in particular? Did you think that playing him and with the mixture of players that we had, was it playing into his sort of strengths? I thought he was putting himself about. I thought his work rate, as I say, was really quite good. It didn't quite get the goal, of course, as we well know. I think there's a couple of opportunities where are you having a good save? I'd say one of them's a good save. Say one's probably poor control and sort of, you know, bad decision making, takes it in the wrong foot and things. But by and large, do you think he was looking any sharper and picking up a bit?
Sharper, probably not. Like I said, he's not going to give you what Kyogo gives you. Kyogo runs constant. As do all Japanese players, that's just what they do. That's what they're trained to do. They just run and run and run. But when he does in there, it's a different dynamic. And for me, he holds the ball up a lot better than Kyogo. And he gives you that option for players to run off him. But we weren't getting the players running off him. We weren't getting things like that. He touched on his chances as well. For me, if the ball falls to your striker in and around the 18-yard box, you're expecting a shot on target.
Yeah. Probably
a goal. For me, he hits one straight at the keeper. The other one's a relatively decent save. He's got to do more for me, though. I like the big guy. I think he's a decent enough player, and I think he gets it. He knows what it means to play for the club, and I'd just like to see more from him. I really would. I'd like to see
Paddy, when does it for you truly kick in for Adamida? Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be the case, but the stories are swirling round that we're going to be looking at bringing back one of our own, of course, who's been doing well in the League of Ireland, and he'll be the third choice striker supposedly. So, look, we've been sitting here and we've been having a wee gripe about clinicalness of our strikers. We're scoring a lot of goals over the pitch. As I say, it's great to see. We've seen them get on the score sheet in recent games, so not all complaints there, but as you say, just these wee sort of nip and tuck situations where you expect to be a bit more out of it. We'll go on to Kyogo. Great goal. Very good goal, actually. And I think that'll play into his confidence. But at the same time, the flip of that, you can think, hey, why can't you do that with the easy ones? But in terms of that, when does it for you click into place for Adamida? He's been up and down. He's proven his worth and he's earned that contract with what he done last season. And he's shown in flashes what he's done. I think his actual minutes to goals or even attempts presented to him to goals ratio is still very good. But what point do we really truly get one of our strikers pulling away and nailing down as being the first choice, because I think if I'm being slightly critical, neither's a sure thing for me.
Yeah, I know. That's it. Every week we kind of come on and we have a wee debate. Who's going to start up front? It's if everybody's fit, it's going to be Kuhn and Dies and Maeda. But the other part of it, Kyogo and Ida, you could toss a coin. I think going into Europe, he'll start with Kyogo. Obviously, I think going into the cup final, he'll start with Kyogo as well. But for me, it just has to relax. He has to just enjoy his football again. When you seen him come towards the end of last season, he was enjoying what he was doing. And I think coming in, and people talk about it all the time, the price tag on him, people talk about this price tag, and he's come in and like that, he's a Celtic fan and coming in for that kind of money, I think he feels like he has to prove himself. And listen, he doesn't need to prove anything, he just needs to go out and enjoy what he's doing and do what he's trained to do. Because the guy is a prolific striker, he's really, really good. Like, we've seen him in so many different situations, he knows where to be, he can get into the spots, and like, he's a big guy, he's got a good touch, a good turn of pace. We just need to see a wee bit more of him. He just needs to relax and enjoy it.
Yeah, well, there will be plenty of opportunities coming up there. But speaking of guys with price tags and that come in, and expectations, obviously Arne Engels gets the goal, but it's not his only involvement of note. And that, of course, there's the yellow card that he gives away. I just want to come straight out on this one. Paddy, there's the phrase that we've seen he's given. Now, it does, I believe, get reviewed by VAR, and it gets given away as not being clear and obvious, and it's the yellow card remains. And I'm thankful for that. Of course I am. Do we think that when that VAR review thing comes out, we're going to be told it was a red card? And what was your take on it? I mean, again, if I'm looking at it, in my honest opinion, do I think it's flying in and reckless? No, I don't. But he's nowhere near the ball, and he does stand on the guy's leg that's on the deck, right? So, would I have been feeling bad if he gets sent off? I'd be disappointed to lose the man, but I could understand it. Paddy's at a red card. If we get away with one there, and the amount of things that we've seen this coming up, where it's strange, isn't it? Where certain clubs are now saying that we get away with everything because that should have been a red card. Do you think that's the right call today?
I think it's the right call today. You see, there was no intent, there was no malice in it. He's went and he's tried to win the ball and he's a little bit late. And he hasn't actually went full force down. He's realised what he's been doing and he's pulled back out. There wasn't, for me, that intent to actually do any harm. We've seen it so many times before. So, yeah, listen, it's not a red for me. And I think when the VAR review does come out, it'll be called as a right decision. And you can pull this back and chin me on it if you want. But yeah, I'm
not going to chin you, mate. I just want your opinions. I says, and as people says, I've seen reds given for less.
Yeah,
I think the problem we're always going to get is that somebody somewhere is going to find an instant by another player from another team.
Of course, yeah.
And they'll draw comparisons side by side for it. As I says, for me, I'm more than happy for him to just get the yellow card and stay on the field. Of course, I am, but at the same time, I think it's one of the ones. It could quite possibly, and I do believe that he does get away with one. And probably, if I'm being honest, I think he had a pretty clean game, bar that. We've always says he probably could put himself a wee bit more. So the chances of him really mucking in and running the risk of getting a second yellow were nil, to be honest, in that half. And I think that's why it lasted as long as it actually did. But we go in 1-0, Paddy, at half time. As you says, ride an early storm, we get the goal. It's plenty of chances, some missed opportunities, predominantly all through Adam Ida. Feeling relatively comfortable there at half time. At half time, we get a change. Forrest coming on. Rare that we do a immediate half time change.
Yeah.
And I think when we got the introduction of James Forrest, I thought that the energy levels were definitely picked up.
Yeah, listen, we know what James gives. We spoke about him so many times on this channel as well. And he mixes opinion, doesn't he? Some people love him, some people hate him. Jamesy Marmite, he's just one of their people. For me, he gives it his all every single time he comes on, and you know exactly what you're going to get for Jamesy. So I'm quite happy when he's on the park, and I'm quite happy when I'm running about and doing what he does. He raises the level. He might not be as direct and as silky as Nicholas Kuhn, but he does give you decent option in there as well. And I thought it was nice that obviously we're resting players as quick as that. I hope there's no injury in there as well. I don't know if anything like that was confirmed.
I've still actually to hear anything off the reason behind that. Obviously, when I watched the dreaded sports scene, I'm sure I'll get told what it was, but I certainly didn't see anything. And if it is just precautionary, obviously best to get them off at that earliest opportunity. For me, I think, to be honest, if I just looked at it, again, you could have tossed a coin for me in terms of our wing guys who came off. I would have taken any of them off after the first half. Not particularly because it was drastically bad or anything, but it was just, we weren't really getting too much. And I never felt that they had to stay on. Sometimes you always feel you've got to keep these guys on because you never know. They might pop up with a bit of magic. We spoke time and time, Paddy, about that now. Improved confidence and we've got on the bench. So, yeah, do you know what? Why not? Change early on at half time, and certainly with the introduction of James Forrest, I felt that was good. And there we go, 4:27. Brendan said everybody's fine off there. So for me, that's pretty much just been it's not happening for you tonight, mate. Let's not run the risky injury or whatever. Get yourself ready for midweek. That's why he's been brought off. But James Forrest comes in as a more than able deputy, and as I says, I think that he contributed. He was trying to get a lot more direct, a lot more forward, and probably it worked a wee bit better in terms of the relationship on his side.
Yeah.
Better than it had been.
Aye, that's it. St James he's a cracking player as well, and going in, for me, I'd have made a bit more changes. Even at 1-0, although, like we said, Hibs had a few chances and whatever else, I still didn't feel under pressure, under attack. I didn't feel like we were going to concede, if that makes sense. So I thought we could have maybe put in a few of the other boys, and obviously we did see a few other changes in there. And I'd like to touch on Yang. When Yang comes on, for me, he's done brilliant. I thought he was direct going forward. He had a couple of wee step overs in there. I thought it was Ronaldo at one point. He was going forward and he's giving it big licks. I thought, you know what, when you go, wee man. He cut inside. He was trying to have a go. He had a shot at one point. And listen, fair play to the laddie.
Yang's been just before we touch that real quick. Before making substitutions, obviously that's a 67 minutes. We get the double change. Kyogo makes way for Adamida. Says, for me, I felt the big man gave a decent account of himself. He didn't do anything. He didn't do his chances any harm. Yeah. Of course, as I says, it just didn't come off for him. Probably he should have had the goal, in my opinion, to his name, but sometimes those things happen. And I definitely think in one of them was a fantastic save for the goalkeeper. But him, as you says, he makes way for Kyogo, as does Maeda for Yang. But before that, we get the goal. Comes via the corner. And it's probably the last notable action that Adamida maybe summed up his day. Plenty of involvement in and around the goal mouth. Yeah, give him the assist because he headers it in the right direction and it just goes in half a defender.
Yeah, listening to the announcer at the game as well, he shouts, "Goal, Celtic!" Adamida. And I was like, not a problem, I'm giving that to Adamida. Like you said, give him the assist. If anything, it's slightly on target, shall we say. So they do say if it's on target and the defender hits it in, then it's not really down as an own goal. It's down as a goal, and the defender shouldn't be putting it into the back of the net. But you can't give him that. It was for me. He's got up. He's put the defender under pressure, and we get the goal when it's 2-0. Like you said, when if the changes were in doubt at 2-0, you then just go for it, didn't you?
The changes are good, and as you say, I'm glad you mentioned Yang because we've sort of went back and forward and debated him for the wee cameos that we've got. Yes. I've been a wee bit more sort of maybe strangely a wee bit more positive than you had. You were a wee bit sort of jury out for it, but as you say, this is a consistent theme now, Paddy. He's getting more and more appearances, more and more time. And as we say, for what it's worth, we've got to mention it, it spells the end in terms of Palmer for me, because again, nowhere near a squad, mate. And that could be for one guy that's going to be making his way out in January. But I liked what I saw for Yang. There seems to be something there. And is he going to be the solution to all of our backup problems? Well, no, I don't think so. But it's a nice wee one to have in the mix. Certainly raw. Certainly has the fundamentals, the raw tools there to do the job, but good to have as a deputy further down the line. But he's shown enough when he's come on.
What is a Palmer?
Mate, you're telling me. I just think that it's surprising because I say forget, it's hard to forget the money. But when you think of the higher outlay on Palma, the start that he had at Celtic with the goals and big goals, Champions League and the likes, if I'd says to you that come this period of the season, they'd be nowhere to be seen, and that they slightly unfancied Palma would be the one that'd be more in the picture, you'd call me a liar.
Oh, no, 100%. Listen, Yang for me was out the door last year. Him and the corn artist as well, as you call him, the boy that's he's now at Hibs, isn't he? Both of them for me, when they come in, I was just kind of looking. And Yang, you seen flashes of what he could do, but there was never any performance that you would go, well, he was great that day or whatever. Obviously, the game against Hearts when he gets sent off for his karate kick, we'll call it. That was.
I was at liberty that one.
That was. But listen, for me, he's just. Brendan obviously sees something in him. He obviously sees that he's got this wee bit of skill and whatever else. So for me, listen, Yang will keep Palma out the squad every single day of the week. Going forward today, I thought he was brilliant. He got the ball and it was exciting. It was actually good to watch, and I didn't think that would have happened. I didn't think I'd have been watching him run forward and going, "This is good."
If we found a calling for Yang, is he quite literally going to be a bit part impact player? Because any time we've started him, it's not quite worked. Yeah. Is that the sweet spot for playing Yang?
Possibly. Build him up to it. We've done it with previous players as well. Real Hatai used to be one of these guys that used to get 50, 60 minutes. And then he got hooked and took off. We've had players previous seasons that have always been a substitute player. Adamida, for most of the part of last year, was a substitute player. And he come on and he made impacts, and then obviously once you start doing that, then you start getting a chance in there. So, listen, going forward, if the wee man keeps it up, then he's going to push for a start. I don't think he's ever going to get a start in Europe at this point just now, and I don't think he'll get a start in the cup final. But in the league, if we're coming up against opposition sitting kind of in the bottom six, then why not start him?
No, it's positive to see. Because we always think as well that maybe the chance that could really have crucify these long-term chances and damaged was, of course, the game at Ibrox where he was very, very culpable. But if you see I say in such a short time, it seems like an eternity away, but the idea, the notion that he's taking in the information, he's taking it in, processing it, and he's adapting to his game, showing a bit more. I like the physicality. He puts himself about and he's not scared to get involved with the tackling, which is something that was completely devoid of previously. But as you say, very direct, and he has very nimble feet. He's got skills, he's got tricks in it, he's got a wee bit of the Kuhn elements, a wee bit we had seen for Lewis Palma. I just think that you just need to smoothen up the edges. You know, I think if he can add a range of sort of shooting, get his shooting boots on, cause problems, because he's shown at times as well, he's got a decent wee delivery in the box when he gets the ball.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, playing alongside guys like Kuhn and James A. Forrest and even Daizen Maeda, the wee guy's going to learn. He's still only young, so he's got a lot to give for me. Playing alongside these guys and watching what Nicholas Kuhn is doing, if he can adapt that. Previously, when we've had ex-players on here and they talk about that, going into squads and seeing these players and seeing what they're doing. And I mean, Peter Grant spoke about the mentality of different players and the extra training they were putting in, and then he was like, oh, maybe that's what I need to do. Mm-hmm. So Yang's going to be doing that as well. He's just going to be in there like a little sponge, just taking all of this in and progressing forward. And listen, let's enjoy it while it's happening.
He was definitely one of the bright spots for me in terms of the subs. And again, a positive coming off the bench. Later on, but that typical sort of 70 minutes, 75 minutes, it was Engels and McCown coming off. We got Rio and Bernardo coming in. Do you think the changes were really needed? Did it contribute much for yourself, or was that literally just last minute sort of minutes in the legs, if you want to call it that, with again an eye on midweek?
Yeah,
for me, there was little to no impact with Rio and Bernardo. They were just showing things up. For me, that was it.
100%. That was it. It was just get a bit of game time into their legs, and like you say, if they're going to start on Tuesday night, it's just getting a wee bit in there, a wee bit of running about for them. I don't think at that point we had to do anything. I don't think there was ever going to be a point where Brendan's going to say to him, right, go on, I want you to push, I want you to do this, blah, blah. He's probably just told me to go on and solidify it, strengthen up the midfield and make sure that they nullify all the attacks. And listen, bringing on 2 guys like Hatate and Bernardo, who you wouldn't be shocked if they started, it's cracking to bring players like that off the bench, isn't it? For me, that's what I've been looking for all season is these kind of players coming in and doing a job. So yeah, they come in and they just nullified any Hibs attacks and just didn't really do much.
In terms of, as I say, impact, Yang highlighted, I thought it was very, very bright. Gave us a wee bit more sort of attacking impetus. James Forrest, again, we commented him, and it actually pops up. Nice assist through to Kyogo, another guy coming on and making an impact. And it's Paddy's, it's a classic, isn't it? It's one of those great Kyogo goals that we've seen over the times. I says earlier on, a beautiful goal, but at the same time, in its weird way, it's slightly frustrating when you think he chances that he wouldn't take, and then he does something magic like that.
That's it. It's classic Kyogo. If he's in there and the keeper's nowhere to be seen, they maybe miss it. But listen, it's a hard finish. He's in there and the keeper's coming out. And
those are hard ones, mate.
He fakes a shot and then just dinks it. A nice little chip over the keeper. It's beautiful, lovely to watch. And on that as well with the chances. I think he did a chance, didn't he? The ball comes in for the corner. He tries to do the Kendall Gleish back heel at one point and things like that. If it comes off, you're a hero. If it doesn't, you're an absolute mug. And it'd be the same there with Kyogo. If he does that and he takes his time there and he misses it, you're screaming at him. You go, what are you doing, man? You should be burying that and blah, blah. But he takes his time and he's composed. Probably the most composed man in the park at that minute. And he knows he's got something to prove. If he's wanting to be starting every game, of course he is. That's your bread and butter. You want to be in there every single week. So seeing Adam Idah start in front of him has maybe gave him the wee kick up the arse that he's needed. That's maybe for me being the bit that Kyogo's went, right, you know what, I'm going on there and if I get a chance, I'm going to score it. And he gets the chance and, like you say, incredible finish. Absolutely. The touch and whatever else is just phenomenal.
Well, Paddy, but if I look, it says the job's done.
Yeah.
There's not much more to speak about. It's comfortable. As I said at the start, I felt for me a wee bit bitty. I think that we at times made it difficult on ourselves.
Yeah.
I know that we've got a heavy schedule of games coming up. We've got 2 massive games next week. I wouldn't like to think that our eyes were slightly diverted. You know, we've always been very businesslike, focusing the task in hand. But I suppose at the back of our mind, known results, perhaps, I don't know if it would feed through to the players, but as we've seen the collapse of our nearest rivals, we are head and shoulders above both our supposed title challengers. It does with that, are games like this possible, is what I'm getting at. I don't think we take anything for granted because we saw what it can be like to lose a huge lead, but I think there was different circumstances there. But do you think that today was just a wee bit by design in terms of we are in cruise control and we're probably looking at the bigger fish to fry in next week where you're maybe not going to be at your maximum? Because for me, it just felt like at best it was third gear at the most of it.
Yeah.
And there's always that idea of could we have kicked it on? I don't necessarily know, but I'm happy. I just felt that we were third gear all the way, but because we were so comfortable in it, if the moment really came to ask us to step it up, I didn't feel that urgency was there to do it. I
think we could have. I think, like you say, I think we were on third gear as well. I think we were just kind of cruising the game and running about and seeing it out. See, if we're in third gear, we can win 3-0. You take it every day of the week. Like we said, it wasn't a pivotal performance. It wasn't the best performance we've seen, but it was decent. And we've done what we had to do. 3 goals, 3 different goal scorers. McCowan hits the bar. Idah could have scored a few. The chances were in there. Obviously, Kasper Schmeichels has saved us as well. He's had a few beauties and well-deserved man of the match. But I'm all right with that performance. I'm not going to go in there and start slating players. Yeah, there was a few mistakes in there. There was a few things that we could have done a lot better. But we got the result and we came out of it unscathed. Yeah. So going forward for that, then going into the European game, I'm more than happy. I'm more
So
than happy to do that.
let's have a wee quick look ahead there, because there's a lot of people who have been coming in and talking here, and I just want to sort of raise those sort of suggestions and get your think. Obviously, we'll do something closer to the actual match day on the opposition and the like as we normally would do, but there's calls from based on what we've seen the past few games, the importance and the gravitas of this game, and as I say, a lot of people will just mention it because we have to, that you suspect that Baye will come back in and do that. There was a lot of people, Paddy, I'm quite surprised, but I can understand the thinking there, to say, would you risk that bit of way of putting it? This three at the back, Paddy. This three at the back in Europe and using using Zagreb. People are saying that as being the testing the testing pool to do that. Is it? Would you go mental and do that?
Not for me. No. Tried and tested for me. You go with what you're used to. You go with your normal formation. 4-3-3. The tried and tested for me. I'd like to see try three at the back, but not in Europe against a Zagreb team that are currently sitting round about us in the league. I think we go out there and we make a performance here. If we do them over, it pretty much solidifies our place.
How do you think that one for you pans out? Because as people are pointing out here, this is a Zagreb side that are in a wee bit of a sticky bit of form. They're not performing, domestically as they normally would, but they've certainly punched above and been a surprise package in the Champions League, much like ourselves. As we say, obviously the focus of this game has really, really shifted. Of course, we've got further down, we're looking at young boys Aberdeen and thinking absolute cannon fodder, that should be 3 points. That'll obviously take us to 11, puts us in a strong position. But the focus and the sort of weight of this game, it's just ramped up a wee bit because we made it difficult for ourselves against Bruges.
Yeah.
There's a couple of wrongs to be put right here, mate.
Yeah, that's it. And for me, I think we go into it with confidence. They're coming in. I don't know when the last one in the league, but yeah, they have been struggling a little bit. So I'm relatively confident. We know what we're like away from home in Europe as well. We've had a few snidey results and things like that, but Atalanta for me was the step up. That was the one that gave me that wee bit of boost going forward, being able to keep a clean sheet in there, and we could probably have stole it near the end. Mm-hmm. I'm quite confident going by that performance and going by how we've played against obviously Slovan Bratislava and Leipzig in there as well. The game against Bruges, Bruges were phenomenal that night. They were brilliant. So going in against Zagreb, I'd be quietly confident. I'm not going to expect my usual 4-0, but I'd expect to take something out of it. Maybe squeeze a 2-1 or a 1-0.
It's going to be a big ask in terms of course, the game itself, as we all know. Like, the expectations from ourselves have greatly shifted as fans, as we're now obviously looking to try and get through to that next phase, which we're on course to do, but we're kind of wanting to do a wee bit of style, don't we? We're wanting to go, and if we can ideally get 6 points for the next 2 games, I think that would put us in an extremely strong position. Maybe that's getting ahead of yourself, but for me, at this moment in time, if we get the minimum of a draw, I'd be happier. Of course, we're looking to shoot for the win, but how do you think that's going to pan out? It's a very compact schedule that we've got. Games are coming thick and fast, and look, the Champions League ultimately is always going to carry a lot more weight, a lot more importance, but you've still got to, no matter what you think of them, you've also got to look at the weekend. Now, we're quite fortunate. We'll get that early kick-off right at the top end of the week, so it'll give us plenty of recuperation, plenty of recovery time. They, on the other hand, they face our former manager, somewhat struggling former manager. A lot of people will be happy to hear that. And Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham late on the Thursday. So, that game in itself into that Sunday is a quick turnaround for them. They're going to be playing a team who are undoubtedly going to be pressing them, running them far more than I would expect out of Zagreb. And that's no disrespect. I'm just talking about playing styles. But is that cup final going to in some way affect how we approach this game? Because for me, yes, I would love to go out there, give our all, and yeah, we'll give our all in every single game, but how much do we push the game against Dinamo Zagreb? Because regardless, as I say, what you think of Rangers, round the corner at the weekend, this is a team who are in dire straits and they're on a wee crest of a wave because they've had 1 or 2 decent results and the arse has fallen out of Aberdeen. But that game, ultimately, to not say successful in that game in terms of reputation and narrative and all that crap that annoys you, that one is far more important.
Yeah.
For me.
Brendan will be telling the players exactly what he always tells them, and you take one game at a time. And for me, that's exactly what you do. You go into the Zagreb game and you go for the win. You play your best team. You go for it. You go for the result. And we've got players in there. If anybody needs a rest, we've got players who can come in like for like. And I don't think the other mob across the city do. They don't have that. They don't have the like for like. They've got a few decent players in there. And that's it. They've not got what we have. We've got a far better squad, and we've got a far better squad than every single team in the league. So that's basically why we're sitting where we are. So far ahead, 9 points ahead. Our closest rival with a game in hand. And at this early stage in the season, it's absolutely frightening when you think about it. We're at a stage in the Champions League where if we win this next game, it pretty much, like I said, secures where we are. We're in the first cup final of the season against our
bitter
rivals, newest rivals. I don't know what you want to call them, whatever you want. I just refuse to say their name. I'm not fussed with them. I really, honestly, you listen to Chris Boyd, he'll tell you they're back. I'm telling you they're no. And listen, going into the game at the weekend, we'll put them back in their place. We'll show them exactly what it means. Glasgow's green and white, and it will remain green and white for the foreseeable.
Paddy, I love it. This is why you're here, mate. But to bring it full circle back, yep. Today, not pretty. Clean sheet. 3 more goals, chuck it on the pile. The backside's falling to Aberdeen. The challenge is well and truly over. We're cruising between now and the end of the year. There's a couple of important games, of course there is. We'll look towards the next one. Onwards and upwards to the next one. Dinamo Zagreb. We'll look as if we rotated the squad wisely today. We should have a full complement available there. Trust the manager to do the right thing there. As I say, for me, a good result looks like a draw minimum. And again, some people maybe say that's selling yourself a bit short, but it puts us in a very, very, very strong position because, again, I can't help but say it. I'm looking at 3 points off of Young Boys of Bern, and we'll take it there. The cup final, we'll get round to that one as well, but I'll be interested to see how that the week pans out of football. But so, Paddy, thanks for taking the time to come back on. It's good to have you back home. It's good to have you back on.
Yeah. It's nice to be back.
I'm sure you're loving it. You can't get enough of it. You can't get enough of it. But before we go, just want to thank once again every single one of you for taking the time to watch the channel, support the channel. We're growing, community's growing, we're close, we're approaching up towards our nearest milestone of 1,500 subscribers. So remember, subscribing costs you absolutely nothing. All you need to do is hit subscribe and hit the bell icon, and it helps us out and it helps grow us community, get more happening there. Couple of things, as we say, is at this time of year, as you know, loads of appeals, charity stuff around Celtic Park, loads of collection stuff, and we are no any different on here. Keep bringing this up here. We are pushing the local toy drive in our area of Coatbridge and Airdrie. If you want to donate anything, you can DM us, you can get us on our social media, you can contact us through the community page here on the pinned post, or you can go directly to Brian Ellis of Ellis Decor, who's a local company who've been putting this together, and their details are on there. Any donations, any size are completely appreciated. And lastly as well, got another thing that in due course will come down. You might have seen it on our socials. As you know, friend of the show, with Didier Gatton, we've been talking to him quite regularly. Phone Paddy all the time annoys you a wee bit. That's it. I wouldn't say annoys you, but he calls you at peculiar times. But we've been sending out a few things to him there, and we sent out a number of items to Didier to get signed, personalised, a couple of shirts, a couple of 8x10's the man in action there, and we want to help try and support him and his efforts for his football academy out in his now homeland of Thailand. So in due course, keep your eyes peeled, because the signed 2003 European spec shirt, similar to the last one over my shoulder, we'll be putting that out for a sort of raffle type thing, with all the proceeds making their way back to Mr. Agat to help with his football academy efforts out there. So keep your eyes peeled on that, and it'll look cracking in a frame. And that's something, of course, that we can also facilitate to just make it look a wee bit better wherever you may choose to hang that. So anyway, that's us for just now. Thanks again to all yous, and more importantly, thanks to yourself, Paddy. I believe you've got some fathering to get on with.
Yep, wee man's in his bed. I'm currently sitting here with a baby monitor, just keep a wee eye on him, make sure he's all right. But wee man's in his bed, he's tucked up, so I can chill for the evening. The wife's on a Christmas night out, so I've got an empty, might as well enjoy it.
And that's why you're sitting there drinking non-alcoholic Corona. I saw the blue label, mate. I see right through you. Who says that us absolute reprobates aren't serious parenting men? There we go. So anyway, thanks to every single one of you. Take care of yourselves. And as always, till the next time that we're back, hail, hail.
Hail, hail.